Hello and welcome to Thursday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, and today is an exciting day because it sees the return of one of the giants of the world Sudoku scene to the channel, Sam Kappelman-Lyons, and in fact he hasn't made a Sudoku this time. The puzzle on the screen is of course a Kakuru. Now we have not done many Kakurus on the channel, and this is tiny, and Mark tells me I should not underestimate this. Apparently it did for one of our testers, which is an enormous surprise actually to me. But when I say did for, I don't mean it actually, caused them to die. I mean it just meant that they couldn't solve it. But yeah, we'll have a look at this in a second. Three small things to mention before I read you the rules. We've got some new merch. Basically, this is a very slow response to many requests you've made over the last few months, to include things like knowledge bombs, bobbins, and let's get cracking in the merchandise. And we can now offer these things. We've been working with a designer, and here you go. Here's some of the stuff. I hope that you like it. If you're into your merchandise, I'll put a link under the video so that you can have a look at all of this new good stuff. And as I say, we hope that you really like it. So that's the merch. Next thing is to try and make sure you help Marge understand her inheritance. We've been talking about this the last few days on the channel. This is what I'm talking about. You may be wondering. Marge, poor Marge, was left this by her late grandfather in his will, and apparently if you solve this puzzle it leads to a video of said grandfather sending Marge on a puzzle hunt to find what we do not know. But people on our Discord server are going nuts and they are finding all sorts of things off the back of this. It is very exciting from a puzzling point of view, so definitely try it out if you want to go on a puzzle quest, and who doesn't? It sounds fun. You can find that Sudoku, by the way, at our Twitter account, which is @CrypticCracking, and if you get stuck, go over to the Discord server where there is now a whole channel devoted to cracking Marge's inheritance. Oh yeah, finally, Mark and I would like to say a big thank you to Jessica Olsen, Michael Greenwald, and Larry Jones. Basically, we are incredibly grateful to all of you who support us over on Patreon, but these three have recently made some incredibly generous sponsorships over there. So Jessica, Michael, and Larry, sincerely, thank you very much. And with that, let's get to the rules of Kakuru. I'm sure most of you know these already, but what we have to do is to enter a single digit from 1 to 9 in each white cell, so that the sum of digits in each across entry equals the clue to the left of the entry. So that's telling us those 3 squares there sum to 15. And of course the same is true going down, so the sum of the digits in each down entry equals the clue above the entry. So those 3 squares sum to 14. And no digit can repeat within a single entry. So what you can't do is go like that, because although they do add up to 14, they repeat the 6. Don't do that. Do have a go though. The way to play, of course, is to click the link under the video as usual. Now I get to play. Let's get cracking and have a look at Sam's puzzle. It's ages since I've done a puzzle by Sam. Now, 15. Doesn't ring a bell. Highest across entry looks like it's 19. Let me just check whether my scatter. There's a few 19s. 19 in 3 cells. What do we know about that? Well, we know that 5, 6, and 7 only add up to 18. So a 19 clue must contain an 8 or a 9 or both. Let's just see if that's telling me anything. It's slightly interesting in those 2 squares. They cannot be 8 or 9 because of this 10 clue. So there must be an 8 or a 9 in one of those squares and an 8 or a 9 in one of these squares. Or there must be an 8 and a 9 in those squares and those squares. Hang on a sec. I'm not seeing anything at all. I'm not very surprised. It can't be a normal Kakuru if one of our testers couldn't do it. And it's tiny, this thing, isn't it? It really is. It's like, I don't know, it's like a couple of pairs of spectacles on top of each other. there really is not much real estate to fill. You almost think you could do it by guessing if you got stuck. Although we do ask the testers never to guess, so it's possible. That's why none of the down entries are interesting at all, actually. Am I missing something here? The smallest is a 10 entry in 3 squares, which we can eliminate 8 and 9 from, but not 7, so it's still got a lot of different digits that can go into a 10 entry. There's something weird about this. This does not ring true at all. It's the sort of puzzle that if Mark had sent me as his latest creation, I would suspect very heavily I was being trolled. So something, maybe there's a big difference between the acrosses and the downs. That's an interesting thought, actually. I think the average across entry in this puzzle is higher than the average down entry. Possibly by quite a lot. So, right, I'm wondering, let us have a look at this. I'm going to add up all of the across entries and see what I get. Those seem to be all of the acrosses. So let's do this. We've got 32, 51, 67, 85, 120, 139, 156, 171. 171, that means nothing to me. Vienna, 171, right. So what I want to do is to compare those entries with the down entries. What's the sum of the down entries now? Let's try and look at that. It's a bit difficult to see against the background of the purple, so what shall I use to differentiate it? I need to differentiate it from grey as well. Shall I use black or red? Red's fine. Right, so the red entries basically is all the down entries. So what have we got there? We've got 29, 41, 56, 66, 77, 102, 112, 123. So I've got 123 for the downs. And what was it? 171 for the acrosses. So the difference is 48, which is a lot. Right, okay. Now this, I suspect, is going to lead to some fruit. Why do I think it's going to lead to some fruit? Well, let's ask the question. What determines the difference between those two sums we just did when we added all of the acrosses and then separately we added all of the downs? What accounts for that 48 difference? Can it be a square that contains purple and red? The answer is, of course, no. Any purple and red cell is in both counts. It's in the across count and it's in the down count, so it doesn't account for that 48 difference. So we can get rid of every cell that has two colours in it. Let's do that. Dum 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 dum. I think it's those. And have a look at what we're left with. We're left with 6 across cells and 6 downs. This is it. I've never seen this in a Kokoro before in my life, but this is typical Sam. It's cleverness you can't shake a stick at. It really is, because it's forced. It's forced. We now know that the 48 difference between the across entries and the down entries has to be entirely dealt with by the purples and the reds, i.e. these purples have to be as big as we can make them, and the reds have to be as small as we can make them. And let's see, if we make the purples as large as we can, let's make them all 9, and we make the reds as small as we can, we'll make them all 1. Have we managed to achieve a difference of 48? And of course we do, because there are 6 of each digit, and the difference between 9 and 1 is 8, and 6 8s are 48. This is QED. So just to go through that, just in case you're not following it, basically we make all of the acrosses, all of those cells that are only included in the 173 count and not in the 171 count and not in the 123 count, was it? Yeah, it was 123. So all of the digits that are only in the across count, if we make them as high as we can, we make them all 9s, and we make all of the ones that are only in the down count ones, the difference between 6 lots of 9 is 54 and 6 lots of 1 equals 6 is 48. It's absolutely perfect. So this is the only way we can make the across entries high enough and the down entries low enough to deal with that difference. And now I'm guessing the puzzle becomes easier. Let us see. It's still not immediately obvious to me where I'm meant to look here. Maybe that cell. Those two squares have got to add up to 6. Let's just have a look at the options here. So this could be a 5, that could be a 1. So we've got... this can't be a 5, because if it was a 5, you'd have to put 5 here as well to get to 11. And you can't repeat a digit in an entry. So this square is 8 or 6. Oh, that's not very helpful actually. That one can't be 1 anymore. No, that's really not very helpful. Okay, where else should we look? We could do the same up there, I can see, with this 15 entry. Oh, maybe this. This is a 15 entry that has a 1 in it. So those two squares have got to add up to 14. So they're either 6 and 8 or 5 and 9 in this order. Look, this can't be an 8 because that would require us to put 0 into this square. So that's not 8, so this isn't 6. These two squares have to add up to 8, so that's 2 or 3. No, that still doesn't seem to do it, does it? Let us look somewhere else. Oh, we've got the same thing there, look. These also have to add up to 14. So let's have a look at these. 6, 8 or 5, 9. 9 here. This is better. This is where we should have started, look. Because this square is completely restricted. It can't be... We know these two squares have to add up to 6, so this must be 5. Otherwise we'd have to put 0 or a negative number into this square, and we can't do that. So this becomes 1. This total is now known. Look, that's got to be a 9. These add up to 7. These add up to 13, which is going to put some pressure on this square. So, in fact, look, you can't put 9 into either of those squares. So this is either 6, 7 or 5, 8, but several of those are going to break down here because these two have to add up to 7 together. So we can remove 7 and 8 from there. So we can remove 5 and 6 from here. So this, oh yeah, lovely. Now this square can't be 6 because that's going to lead to a 1 here and repeat the 1. And finally, I feel a little bit confident that I'm going to crack this. That's got to be an 8 now. That's a 2. That's a 3. Here we go. That's a 5. That's a 9. These have to add up to 12, so that must be 7. That's a 2. That's an 8. Oh, this is lovely. 6, 4, 2. That must be a 5, according to mathematics of all things. That's a 3. That's a 7. These have got to add up to 5, which we can probably do. I just can't see how. Embarrassing. Okay, I'll put 1, 2, 3, and 4 in there. These add up to 9. So you're not going to be able to put 2 in here. This has got to be 8, 6, or 5. And these two... look, these two add up to 12. So we can't put 6 in there because then we'd have to repeat 6 in the bottom left square. So this is now 5 or 6. I can't remember what those two had up. Oh, that's not 3 now. And if that's not 3, that's not 2. Look, we've now got a 1-4 pair here, which is probably... Oh, this ring here is gorgeous. Sort of each option eliminates one thing. So look at this, the bottom row now. These two squares have got to add up. These two squares here have got to add up to 8. So we can never put 4 here because you'd have to repeat the 4. So it must go 1, 4, 5, and now hopefully that's going to be a 7. And that does look like it works. So that is the solution to Sam's puzzle. So it's a short video today, but my goodness me. You don't see many kukurus like that on the back of the New York Times, let me tell you. I'm gonna look forward to the comments, because I'm guessing many of you fancy yourselves as kukuru whizzes, and that puzzle is not like any kukuru I have ever seen before. It's what Cracking the Cryptic was made for, puzzles like this. Absolutely brilliant. And I have no idea if I don't think the check function will work, because the check function will try and treat this as a Sudoku. Let me just check. Oh, yeah, it does not like that, does it? So let's put that cell back in, which was a 7. I think this is correct. I could just do a quick shimmy down the grid and see if I can see any obvious errors. I think I did it logically. It felt logical. Yeah, that's all good. That is the correct solution. So if you're wondering what the correct solution is, copy this one and you'll be good to go. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.